Ivy Sama, and my last student numbers are 010. Before our group explains about nouns, adjectives, and adverbs, let us know what are meant by word classes. In English grammar, words are grouped into different categories called word classes. Word classes are also traditionally known as part of speech. Word classes help us understand how words behave in sentences, not just what they mean. A word may belong to a certain class because of how it is used in context, not only because of its form. Word classes can be divided into two main types: open classes and closed classes. Open classes are groups of words that easily accept new words. This includes nouns, verbs, adjectives, and adverbs. While closed classes are more limited and rarely add new words. These include pronouns, determiners, auxiliaries, conjunction, and prepositions. In this video, our group will focus on nouns, adjectives, and adverbs which belong to the open word classes.
Hi everyone, my name is Tiara Esa Suci. My last student number is 014. In this part, I would like to talk about nouns. Noun is a word used to name a person, place, object, or idea. For example, for person, like student, teacher, doctor. For place, like school, city, hospital. For the object, like book, table, phone. And idea, like happiness, freedom, and honesty. Alright, next, let's talk about noun suffixes. Like I said before, noun is a word used to name a person, place, object, or idea. But not all nouns can be identified by their form alone. However, many nouns are formed by adding suffixes to verb or adjective. For example, common suffixes like suffixes ion. For example, education, relation, and motivation, and suffixes et like reality, mentality, activity, suffixes men like environment, government, and entertainment, suffixes ness like happiness, darkness, sadness. Alright, let's move on to the nouns classes. Nouns classes are divided into common nouns and proper nouns. So first, let's talk about proper nouns. Proper nouns are the name of specific people, place, or event. They usually begin with a capital letters. For example, for people, like Shakespeare. For place, like Chicago. For event like Christmas. Next, the second one is common nouns. Common nouns are the general name of a person, place, thing, or idea. It does not a specific one and is not capitalized unless it starts a sentence. And then, common nouns can be classified in two ways.
First, type of reference.
So there are concrete nouns and abstract nouns. So first, let's talk about concrete nouns. Concrete nouns are people, places, or things that you can see, hear, or touch. So you can basically use your five senses. Let me give you example. Let's talk about a people, like a man, a teacher, a doctor. If we talk about places like a house, a school, a zoo. If we talk about things like a car, a shoe, a pizza. So these are concrete nouns. So how about abstract nouns? Abstract nouns are idea, concept, and emotion. So you cannot see an idea. You cannot smell the emotion. You cannot hear it or touch it. For example, we could talk about love. We could talk about dream and happiness. So these are words that represent ideas, concept, and emotion. So they are abstract nouns in English. The second ways is grammatical form. There are count nouns and non-count nouns. So let's talk about count nouns first. Count nouns are nouns that refer to things that can be counted because they are countable. Count nouns have a singular and plural form, and then count nouns can be used with determine that the show number. For example, for singular, like a student, one student, every student. For plural, 10 students, many students, those students. Count nouns are nouns that you can count, like 1, 2, 3. And noun count nouns is refer to things that are same an indivisible mass and cannot be counted. The characteristic of noun count nouns are they are treated as singular, they don't have plural form, and they are used
Determiners.
that do not show number. For example, like some water, much information, and much money. Alright, let's talk about number. So, count nouns are nouns you can count. They have singular and plural forms. Most plural are made by adding s, but the s can be pronounced in three different ways, depending on the last sounds of the word. So, the first, the plural is pronounced is when the word ends in the sounds like s, sh, ch. For example, bust become buses. Watch become watches. The second, the plural is pronounced as when the word ends in the voice sounds. For example, they become days. Play become plays. And the third, the plural is pronounced as when the word ends in a voiceless sound. For example, like become likes, note become notes. Next, let's talk about gender. Gender in nouns means that some nouns show whether someone is male or female. Example of male and female nouns there are father and mother, boy and girl, host and hostess, hero and heroine, widower and widow, bull and cow. However, gender is shown more clearly in pronouns, not in nouns. For example, like he for male, she for females, it for things or animals when the sex is not known. Next is case in nouns. Case show the grammatical function of a noun in a sentence. In English, nouns have two cases. First, common case is the normal form. Two, genitive case is shows position or belonging. Genitive case, we usually use apostrophe s to show that something belongs to someone. For example, in noun singular, singular nouns, in common, the student, in genitive, the student's book. So another example in plural nouns, in common, the students, in genitive, the students' books. So the rule is in singular add apostrophe s and plural ending in s add apostrophe only. So the last nouns is dependent and independent genitive. Dependent genitive, it's come before a noun and works like a possessive word. For example, the student's book. So here, students need the noun book after it. While independent genitive, it doesn't need a noun after it. The noun is understood from the context. For example, your ideas are better than Sandra's. It means Sandra's idea. And independent genitive for places. We also use the independent genitive to talk about places. For example, the party is at Alan's. So it means Alan's house.
Next, I will explain about adjective. So, what is an adjective? An adjective is a word that can be the main word in an adjective phrase. Its main function is to describe or give more information about a noun. For example, a happy child, a comfortable chair. Many adjectives are formed by adding suffixes to nouns or verbs. Some common adjective suffixes include able or able, in comfortable and suitable, full in hopeful and careful, less in hopeless and harmless, os or eos in famous and curious, in windy and healthy. There are also adjectives formed from noun phrases using ed such as blue-eyed and long-haired. However, not all adjectives have suffixes. Many common adjectives have no suffixes at all, such as happy, sad, young, and true. Next is about adjective classes. Adjectives can be divided into three classes according to their function. First, adjectives can function as premodifiers of a noun, means the adjective appear before the noun. This is called the attributive use of adjectives. For example, a comfortable ride. Second, adjectives can function as subject complements that appearing after linking verbs such as be. For example, the ride was comfortable. Third, adjectives can function as object complements that giving more information about the object. For example, I made the bed comfortable. Adjectives that can appear in all three positions are called central adjectives, such as comfortable, clever, brave, and hungry. There are some adjectives that attributive only, such as main, utter, and chief. For example, that is utter nonsense. Also, others are predicative only, such as afraid and glad. For example, he is afraid of dogs. The last material about adjective is about gradability and comparison. Most adjectives are gradable, meaning they can express different degrees. For example, a bit hot, very hot, extremely hot. Adjectives can also be compared using three types of comparison. First, higher comparison. Polite, politer, politest. Or important, more important, and most important. Second, same degree comparison, for example, like as polite as. Third, lower comparison, such as less polite than and the least polite. Some adjectives use and us while others use more and most, depending on the numbers of the syllables and the form of the adjectives. There are also irregular adjectives such as good, better, best, and bad, worse, worse.
Hello everyone, my name is Fazia Alconita and the last 3 digits of my student ID is 031. And now I will be explaining about adverb. First, what is an adverb? So, an adverb is a word that can be the only or main word in an adverb phrase. One common way adverbs are formed in English is by adding the suffix "ly" to adjectives. For example, adjectives like calm, frank, light, mad, quiet, and tearful can be changed into adverbs by adding "ly", resulting in calmly, frankly, lightly, madly, quietly, and carefully. This is the most frequent pattern of adverbs formation, and it helps learners easily identify many adverbs in English. When an adjective ends in "ic", the adverb is usually formed by adding the suffix "ically". Examples of this include economically, geographically, heroically, and romantically. However, there are exceptions to this rule. One important exception is the word publicly, which does not follow the ically pattern. This shows that although suffix rules are useful, they are not always consistent and need to be learned carefully. Another way adverbs are formed is by adding the suffix "wise" to nouns. This suffix is used to create adverbs that express direction, manner, or point of view, such as clockwise, lengthwise, moneywise, and weatherwise. Like other word classes, many adverbs do not have any suffixes at all. This is especially true for time adverbs such as now, today, yesterday, and tomorrow, as well as space adverbs like here, there, inside, and outside. In addition, there are linking adverbs such as therefore and however, which are used to connect ideas and show relationships between sentences or clauses. Like adjectives, many adverbs are gradable, which means their meaning can be increased or decreased. Because of this, adverbs can be modified by intensifiers and can also take comparative and superlative forms. For example, we can say quite calmly or very calmly to change the degree of calmness. We can also compare actions by saying less calmly or most calmly. This shows that adverbs are flexible and express different levels of intensity. However, most adverbs do not form comparison by adding endings like er or ist. Instead, they usually require pre-modifiers like more and most. For example, we say more carefully or most carefully rather than carefuler or carefulest. This is the most common pattern for forming comparative and superlative adverbs in English. Some adverbs have the same form as adjectives, and these adverbs do take inflectional endings. For instance, the adverb late follows the same pattern as the adjective, becoming later in comparative form and latest in the superlative form. In these cases, the adverb and adjective are identical in form and behave in the same way grammatically. There are also several adverbs with irregular comparative and superlative forms that do not follow regular patterns. These include well, which becomes better and best, badly, which changes to worse and worst, and far, which can become further or further in the comparative form, and farthest or furthest in the superlative form. These first three irregular forms are the same as those used for adjectives. In addition, the adverbs little and much also have irregular forms. Little become less and least, while much become more and most. So we can conclude, word classes are categories that group words based on their form, meaning, and grammatical function in a sentence. Noun function as the names of people, places, things, or ideas, and play a central role in sentence construction. Adjectives are used to describe or give more information about nouns, and adverbs modify verbs, adjectives, or other adverbs to provide information about manner, time, place, or degree.